Let's consider the question, is long COVID the same thing as ME? The short answer is no, because long COVID is an umbrella term that can be applied to anyone who experiences lingering sickness after they have been infected with COVID-19. Like I said earlier, some of these patients have suffered organ damage from an acute infection, and in some cases that can fully explain all of the symptoms they're experiencing. But then there is also that other subgroup of patients for whom organ damage cannot fully explain their symptoms. Even within this group, there are several different subgroups. I mean, think of those people who have lost their sense of taste and smell and have that as their only symptom. Clearly, they don't have ME. But it is still undeniably true that plenty of people with long COVID are indeed experiencing an illness that looks suspiciously like ME. In fact, a horrifying 40 to 60% of people with long COVID meet the diagnostic criteria for ME. So, do those people really just have ME? I think that it is extremely likely that they do. I say this because the ME flavor of long COVID and ME are pretty much indistinguishable from each other, and because we already know that a variety of infectious diseases can trigger ME. In fact, an ME-like illness has occurred in people who were infected with SARS viruses in past outbreaks. We have known for a very long time that some people develop ME or other complex chronic illnesses after infections. This phenomenon of people becoming long-term sick with the same core symptoms after infection was given a name after the Royal Free outbreak, and that name was ME. It's just that everything that happened since then has resulted in ME becoming Schrödinger's disease. If this disease had never become so buried, if its name were never changed, if it were taken as seriously as it deserved to be, if we didn't ignore this phenomenon and how it repeated time and time again after viral disease outbreaks throughout history, maybe long COVID would never have come as a surprise. I obviously can't 100% confirm that the ME flavor of long COVID and ME are exactly the same thing, however, because we don't have a diagnostic test for ME yet. That would have come in really fucking handy if we had had it before the start of the pandemic, but I digress. What we undeniably have with this subgroup of long COVID patients is one of two things. These people either do just straight up have ME, because we know that ME can be caused by a variety of different triggers, most often viral infections, or these people have a disease which is uncannily similar to ME, but which is entirely new and which can only be caused specifically by the COVID-19 virus. Even if with more research it's revealed that ME and the ME flavor of long COVID are separate diseases, we would still have to admit to ourselves that had we already solved the mystery of ME, we likely would have been able to find the cause of long COVID and more support and better treatment for its sufferers by now. Regardless, it is imperative that we pay attention to the fact that many people who were initially given a diagnosis of long COVID are already being diagnosed with ME. In fact, some of the most common diagnoses given alongside long COVID are POTS, mast cell activation syndrome, and, you guessed it, myalgic encephalomyelitis. So we know that COVID-19 can cause ME and that it can cause other complex chronic illnesses because people are already being given these diagnoses following a COVID infection. I strongly believe that the difference between the ME flavor of long COVID and ME itself lies simply in the confidence of the person giving out the diagnosis. So, of course, we've ended up reinventing the wheel with long COVID. It's because we turned ME into Schrödinger's disease. Hardly anyone has any confidence in post-viral illnesses. They, and ME especially, have been so badly ignored for so long that there was no other way this could have gone, frankly.